And hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special episode of Trickery and Chaos Presents Semi-Perfect. I'm your host, Saul, and today I got a special co-host, along with doing this live and recording at the same time, just to see if I can bloody well do it. This is Ice Yamamoto. You may remember her from previous episodes. Say hello, Ice.
Hello, all. How's it going out there?
So yes, today we are doing an anime that M is not the biggest fan of, but I love it. Ice loves it, so I figured, what the hell, let's just do it with us. So welcome to the wonderful isekai world of bloody massacres and people that love war. We are talking about drifters battling a brand new world war.
I like war. I like it a lot. It's fun. Watch people get hacked up. Makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Oh yeah, sure. Especially with these crazy psychos.
Indeed.
I mean, when I think isekai, this is actually not the first one that comes to mind because it's just how it is. But it's still an amazing anime altogether. But
it is.
Good.
I hope that it continues.
Oh yeah, this only got one season of anime. I believe the manga might still be going, but a lot like Berserk and a few other mangas that I love, it seems to slow down, then pick up, and then seems to die. Then we get a couple issues here and there, and then dies again, and all sorts of things like that. But let's move on for a second, because there's going to be a couple of things to talk about, and I think we can at least try and move on.
Absolutely.
So, this anime actually starts off with one of our heroes in a battlefield, and he dies. And this is what he's presented it with. We'll talk about more how he dies when he actually comes to character. I think this is an interesting place to start. Because when he dies...
Because this room... Oh, sorry.
Because when he dies, he wakes up and sees this. A hall full of doors and a man sitting at a desk. Not exactly how I expected the afterlife to be. Especially for a Japanese man that probably doesn't understand what a door is.
Well, I mean, they know what doors are. They had doors.
Yeah, but that doors slide. They don't open.
I mean, a door is a door. I mean, I'm sure they were used to it.
Come on, you really expect the main character here to understand a door when he probably just breaks through them?
Sure, because when he wasn't at war, I'm sure he used mini doors.
Yeah, no, I mean, kind of is actually
psychopath the entire time.
Kind of is Supernatural's heaven. Kind of didn't actually think about it that way.
I like this scene right here because as it's, as the series went on, the one season, this is referenced a lot, and we don't know what's behind all of these doors. We only find out what's behind one door.
So the question is, do they lead to other worlds? Do they lead to different spots in the same world? Which is kind of what I think, considering the fact they didn't try and launch all the drifters, we'll talk about that in a moment, into the same spot. Because if you're trying to build an army, having them in the same place would be helpful.
Not only that, I know we're getting a little ahead, but when drifters is mentioned in the series, it's like, so others have done this before.
That's a good point. I actually didn't think about that part.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you died, Ice, and I'm not trying to be too morbid with that, and this is what you woke up to, what would be the first thing going through your mind?
Honestly, I think, did I step into another world? Because remember when his quote unquote final moment, he just appeared here.
Yep.
So if we're in our final moments and we just blink essentially, and this is where I am, I'm gonna be very confused. Like, I'd be questioning, did I die, or am I in a coma, or what's going on? Like, I wouldn't know what to do.
I don't think a lot of people would know what to do. Like, they'd be shell-shocked, especially like the way that he died, which was brutal as all hell, being stabbed by like several spears, and I think he was shot also.
Multiple samurai. Oh, yes. I think his left arm was shot.
He was shot. All of a sudden, he would get appear, still covered in blood, but fully healed because there's no holes perforating him. And
exactly.
just this, like the white does give it that like you're in heaven look to it, like how clean and shiny and just white everything else is. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't give me the vibes of yeah, you're gonna be rotting in eternal damnation, unless it's behind the doors, which is still possible.
Look at the doors. I didn't put this together when I was watching it until looking at the still. We could summarize these doors are different periods in history.
Not just because over the left it looks like a sliding door that
Yeah.
I mean, there's glass in, but it looks like that, and then there's like
then you got
each
like the
door
more
kinda,
modern day door above it.
Yeah, and then farther down it looks like a barn door kind of like thing, the blue one.
Mm-hmm. Then you got like the castle door to the right. Like, it could be like this is how they pull their heroes. So you could say in a way this is like we
It's
were
categorizing time periods.
Yeah, like these doors are just different periods in history. And if a particular person that whoever the man behind the desk is, which we'll get into later, deems worthy enough to pull here, they kind of like come through that door.
And let's see. The funny thing is also, if you look on his desk, you can clearly see the coffee maker. He's reading a newspaper, which I know there were. I don't know if the main character would know what a newspaper is, but the newspaper that this character uses is more like a monitor, because the news on it changes depicting what's going on in the world he's overseeing. Because it'll give him information that the drifters are winning, the ends are winning, and we'll get on that in a moment, but we're just focusing on this. And
yeah,
he's just sitting there
like in World War II.
Yeah, and he's just sitting there in the middle of this, and he's dressed pretty dapper for probably around the time of World War II time period, I would say.
Yeah, I mean that, and the fact that he doesn't really ever look at the person. It's like he already knows who it is.
Yeah, he knows. He even. If I remember correctly, the main character also doesn't understand the language he's speaking, which is also a language barrier thing.
Yes, due to he is from feudal Japan, and well, this guy, we don't know what he is technically.
Yeah, all we know is that he appears human, and that's all we can really say.
Yeah, we don't know if he's a god or some type of deity, something.
So let's move on a little bit, because that's really, like I said, it's just a great opener, because this is generally where the series really starts. There are other things that contribute to start in the battle, but we can talk about it later. But like I said, just to have this be how you get to that new world when you're isekai, I thought it was an interesting start, because usually you get isekai, you're right in a new world.
Yeah, like honestly, a big sum up of how he got here, you could just say if anyone's played Samurai Warriors, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Because if I remember correctly, it was at the end of the Sengoku, near the beginning of the Edo period, because it was closed and the clans and everything like that, if I remember correctly.
Yes, because I want to say, if I remember correctly, I want to say he was part of the Takeda clan.
This is the man that we meet, Murasaki. This is the man behind the desk. Man. And I did a lot of the concept art because I like having the names and who their actors are for some of this, because I think that's a neat thing. And it shows off more of the character than we see in a lot of the anime, because most of the time he's sitting at his desk. We usually don't even see his legs.
Yeah, he's always sitting down reading the newspaper.
And if you can tell, the art style is done by the same people that did
Hellsing.
Yes, that was it. Hellsing. I thought it was Hellsing. I was 100% sure. And by the way, thank you, Nem, for that 11-month subscription. I thank you very much.
Awesome.
But yeah, you can tell by the face and the eyes, it's the same creator as Hellsing. Like, this is his distinct art for that. But all we see of him is that, and then he also spends time talking to another person we'll talk to down the road, and they're at odds ends with each other over what's happening in this other world. But beyond that, even by the manga, we still don't know that much about him and his nemesis at the moment. So there's really not much we can say about him in the long run.
Sadly, I wish we could.
Yeah, I know what you
I'd
mean.
like to know more about him. I would really like to know more.
Yeah,
about
because I'd like to know. Like, I get the major premise of this, but there's so much more to try and figure out too.
Yes, and it's like he only speaks when he feels it's needed.
Mm-hmm. But this lovely young chap, Toyohisa Shimazu, are one of 3 main protagonists I signed. Like, there's other characters that contribute to the overall story and are vital, but I feel it follows 3 people in particular, and this is one of them. This is our general of the army that we're building as the Drifters. And my God, is he fit for that role as a crazy battle maniac?
He is. It brings a tear to my eye. The way he just rushes in headlong without a care in the world for his own safety.
I mean, just look at that joyous smile. He's ready. He
Exactly.
knows what
That's
he's
a man
here
who
for,
loves
and he's
that.
ready
He
for
loves
it.
to fight. He loves to fight. You can't tell me otherwise. Think about it in the opening. He leads a major force away so his lord can escape.
Well,
And he continues to fight.
Well, the thing about it is that he follows the idea of honor above death. He is not afraid to die as long as it's honorable and glorious.
Because killing a couple of hundred guys is honorable in their eyes.
Yeah, he also has standards by his own warped view, such as he doesn't attack women,
or children.
If the enemy surrenders and puts down a weapon, it's dishonorable to attack them. And there's a few other things, like he does have, and he's not like he's brainless. He's just focused, in a lack of better words.
Yes, he's very focused, but he still keeps his own morals and code, even in that moment.
Oh yeah, he thinks on his feet. He knows what he's doing. He has a set goal, and when he wants that goal, Lord have mercy if you're between him and that goal.
Oh yeah, you're being cut down. No questions asked.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is they shortened his sword a little bit in this image, but he's willing closer to an odachi than a katana in size-wise.
I think that's just because of the style of art they went with, so it looks exaggerated long than what it actually is.
I'm just saying, it looks more like an odachi when you actually see it in the actual anime or the manga. So there's been a little bit of debate. Most people lean towards him using an odachi also because of the time period, I think. But
the reason I don't say odachi is because that would be too long to draw from the hip. That would be something more on your back. The fact that it is on his hip, it is a long katana. But like I said, I think that's just due to the art style of the creator.
That's fair.
That they exaggerate. Like, it's like if you watch Hellsing, you notice everything in there is also exaggerated. His guns, Saris's cannon, the character's facial expressions, it's all exaggerated. Like that is the art style to let you know.
Yeah, because you can see the exaggeration in the face right here with him. Like they know what they're doing for the emphasis. So I can see that. But it still works really well for me, regardless of what the sword is.
Oh yeah, regardless, I still like it. Like I do like how they have that curve in it. Like it's got that just right curve when he's holding it out or bringing it down on an enemy.
Yeah, because sometimes they curve the sword too much and it just looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, and this is what I really like about him, in an actual battle, he will do what it takes for victory, especially when he's fighting another end. He was literally jumping around, going through buildings, throwing coffee mugs and stuff like that. Like, he will do what he needs to ensure his army victory. He does not care.
I mean, it's cutting the head a little bit. Remember, he used, I'm not going to say the character's name or anything, but remember, he used actual defensive magic from another character as an attack. And even that character was like, wait, my magic isn't meant for this.
We will talk about her and that magic shortly, because I do have them, and that is a big point I wanted to discuss too, because there's a lot of things to discuss about that. Not that exact magic, but another one that's a better example in my opinion.
Another one. Yes.
But here's the thing. he also will really inflict himself with damage, because remember, he stood up front and had the dwarves pretty much fire shotguns around him to hit the enemy, and he was not concerned about being hit by those basically like
he
nails,
just stood there.
shrapnel, whatever the hell was firing.
Yep, he just stood there. This is like, keep firing.
Yeah, just don't stop for me. But
don't mind me, guys. Keep firing.
But the other thing is, like, because this is an anime, they're trying to be a little bit showy just for entertainment purposes. They do have a bit of flair with their combat, but all the drifters are human. They have no magical powers. They have set limits. They're not immortal. They don't have anything special with them that they got when they transferred to this world. They are who they were at the moment they died and brought over. They were just healed. And that's kind of an important detail for when we talk later on. Because in a lot of isekais I find nowadays, when the character's brought over, they get some sort of gift or they become overpowered, and it goes from there. Not in this case.
Funny you should say that. We were talking about that last night. How isekai characters are now just OP, and that's now the fad. That's the in thing to do with anime right now. Is this massive isekais, massive overpowered characters, and there's really nothing to say stand up to them.
I mean, in some ways that works as like a power fantasy, or if there's something else driving the plot. Like a good example is Overlord. Yes, he's overpowered, but you're not really watching it for that. You're watching him to explore the world, talk to his minions, and do other stuff.
The politics of the universe that has been built.
And that's what you're there to watch for. And that's what you're watching. There's something there for you to do. So
it's funny you say that.
So there's things you can watch about it that lead the main character overpowered, but this one, we don't have that. If anything, the drifters are underprepared for this shit.
I wouldn't say they're completely underprepared. It's the fact that they are still fighting people like on their level and below. Like the first military group we're introduced to after the isekai happens, the Holy Order.
Yeah, the Order of Ortega, the Kingdom of Ortega.
Yeah, like they're still people, and it's one of those things. Like, okay, in this world, there are people that are a cut above the rest, obviously.
Yes,
but for the most part, your baseline grunts are still the same as the world they came from.
And this is true. This is where there's an even playing field for that. What isn't the even playing field is when we talk about what the ends have beyond that, which we'll talk about shortly. But
the ends is when things get interesting.
And there's one other thing that the drifters have going for them that I will discuss when we talk about another character and her abilities, because I think it really shows off how this is going to work out. So let's move on for a moment. Because then we have this crazy nut job, who I love this interpretation of them.
Oh, yes.
Oda Nobunaga. Whenever I hear that name, this is the first man that pops into my head, the version of him. I know it's not historically accurate. I know he probably didn't act like this. But my God, is it just so much fun to watch this one.
You know, and this is where I think it kind of gets a little different. Because Nobunaga Oda, this man, is different from the Nobunaga the main guy knows.
Well, to be fair, they're from such different times and periods that they don't know each other personally. They only have historical records. And records are written by the victor. So they're not going to be entirely accurate. What I feel is accurate here, because I actually know a little bit about Oda Nobunaga, he was a military person. He had militarism, and he conquered to try and unify Japan. Now, was that for the benefit of Japan? Would that have ruined Japan? We can't say, because it never came to fruition. All we can say is what we have from the records and what actually happened in battles, and battles were won, lost, and what some people may have said about his politics and stuff like that. So we can't say one way or the other if it would have been successful.
Very true.
Because some people would have had to actually believe in his idea and his goals in order for him to have such a huge army ready to follow him. Money alone does not breed an army. But this one, just like Toyohisa, he's office rocker, and I love it about him.
They all are. The three main characters of the Drifters are off their rockers. They are insane in their own ways. And it works for the situation they're put in.
Mm-hmm. Because they're going to have to wage war in order to survive.
Yes. I mean, now it may have led to their ultimate downfall in their own timeline, but it's working for them in this one they've been placed in.
Well, as Nobunaga put it, no lord is going to give you everything they had to fight an enemy when they can just bunker down and try and survive it. So Nobunaga's plan is, okay, so we're just going to have to take their army and kingdom by force. So once again, Nobunaga is on a conquest.
And he always will be. Like, it's in his nature. He can't help himself.
But I just love how fun it is that he's going on a conquest and he's just having the time of his life doing it. Like, there's no stop here. Like, okay, so we need to do this. Best way to do that, I know how to do. Let's conquer.
Yep, let's conquer it. And then he sits there and goes, well, you know what? The other guy, he seems to rally people. So, you be the leader, but I'll still be back here.
Mm-hmm. And he is a formidable strategist. Like,
yes, he is an excellent strategist.
He does have his flaws. Some large-scale battles do escape his grasp for it. But you can see the clearly thinking mind and how he's not just a lunatic. He's a sharp mind. He can read most people most of the time. Because if he could do it all the time, it would be no fun. But for the most part, he really does know what he's doing.
And his on-the-spot adjustments if the enemy does something that's out of what he was predicting. Like, he is able to shift it over within seconds.
And the other thing is, he knows when to listen to other people. He's not just, my way is the only way that's going to work. He knows that other ideas... He encourages other people to speak up if they have something to contribute. So he's not just stuck in his own ways. He knows how to learn and adjust.
And it really plays to his strength as a character in this show.
Oh, yeah. Because they're in this world and they're trying to learn about it, learn the people, learn what's going on. And he's picking up on a lot of it very quickly with minimum details. Because he knows he needs details, but he doesn't have a lot of time. Especially when they go
to the same time, they're being hunted.
Yeah, because
they're being hunted while having to do this.
Because remember, when they're going to recruit the elves, he told the other character, "Give me a brief history," and from that alone, he got a lot of information just because he figured it out. Just from looking at this village, he pretty much forgot the majority of it, but he wanted minor details to fill in a lot of the gaps.
Speaking of that. The language barrier. I loved at the end of episode 1.
Oh, the M or Ice, I mean? Wait, I actually have a picture for that. That's one of the two things I have for the other character.
Oh, all right. I'll hold off then. Go.
Mm-hmm. This is another character, and yes, you can be. You're fine if you thought it was a girl. Good Lord, I did.
I thought it was a woman the first time I saw that character.
And the thing is, like, it's not too unbelievable one way or the other when you first saw them, but it really does. Now, this character I know very little about. I know every character was a real person. Well, not every single person, but the majority of them, the Drifters and the Ends, were real historical figures. I just don't know Yoichi Nasuno that well.
I don't either.
One of the historical figures. But what I can tell you is they're a damn good archer. Like,
Yes,
Jesus
they are
Christ.
what we call a master archer.
I haven't seen this person miss yet.
I haven't either. And I was waiting for it, and I still haven't seen it.
But and don't worry, just like everybody else in the show, they're unhinged as well, so we don't have to worry about that. Because this one is more like their stealth, recon, and assassination member. We have Toyohise, which was more or less the general and front linesman. Nobunaga, which is the strategist, and I guess kind of like king figure would be the best way to put it.
Yeah, he is. He would be your king strategist.
And like I said, this is our stealth force operator, pretty much. Because when they hook up with the elves and they start practicing back in the bows, good lord, is that an effective unit?
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes. And it was only like a few days of training. Like they didn't have this long drawn out period of, hey, we got all the time in the world to train. It's like, no, we got to do this quick.
Well, it's a good thing the elves
And
were actually practiced with hunting in the forest when they were allowed to.
yeah,
But that's
I mean,
primarily
it didn't even take long to learn the sword. Like that was the thing I thought was pretty cool. Like each character was training different groups, and they made them a very effective force.
Mm-hmm. Toyohisa pretty much got along best with the dwarves. No surprise there. They had the either I'm gonna kill you with this attack or you're gonna kill me. We'll figure this out real quick.
We'll see who. Yeah, we'll see who survives.
Nobunaga took the men with the muskets because that's strategizing where to put the men.
Well, and that was actually a callback to Nobunaga's actual history.
Mm-hmm.
Was he used muskets in warfare, and he was the first one to invent the chain gun effect.
Which was huge steps for the musket at the time.
Yes.
And then Yoichi, which is kind of like the stealth force in archery, because muskets, despite Nobunaga improving them, still had a lot of major drawbacks.
Yes, they do.
And having extra support for any unit is never a bad thing. But those are our three primary protagonists. And when they first meet, nobody believes who the other is at first. Because, like I said, as far as Toyohisa was aware, Nobunaga was dead for a really long time.
Yep.
And Yoichi, I think, was even further back than Nobunaga was.
Yes.
So even at the start, they're telling you, hey, these people are all from different time periods and would never have actually met in the world that Toyohisa came from. Or the timeline, I should say. Assuming they're all from the actual same timeline. So, and that's another big mystery. It's like, we're assuming they're all from the same timeline, but who can say? I honestly can't.
Yeah, because the show really dived too deep into that, and I haven't read the manga to see if it dives any deeper into that.
As far as I'm aware, it hasn't yet, but I could have missed
okay, so we can just safely assume they're from different time periods, or they're from the same time period, but each character died way earlier than another character would have met.
Yeah, they're not from the exact same spot in the timeline, clearly.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, we had the elves, which was the first group of the new world people that joined up with our heroes. And like I said, they're incredible archers. They're pretty much one of the best people you could have for your stealth force, really. They're silent, they're quick. They're damn good shots. Nothing to Yoichi, but damn, they're not bad. And their willingness to rise up after being subjugated by the humans for so long almost made them easy pickings for it.
Yeah. We say it was like a perfect storm at this point.
Yeah, because the elves and other more mythological creatures, of what we would call them, were subjugated by the humans. I'm almost acting surprised, but humans do human things.
I would say humans are gonna human.
Yeah. So when a group of drifters pretty much saves them, rallies behind their spirit of, do you want a better life? it didn't take long for them to stand up and start rebelling. Especially after
Exactly.
like 2 good victories and going get your women back. Because this entire village was nothing but men because the humans took the females.
And
Like,
we don't need to say what was happening there. You can
oh
use your
no, that
imagination.
pissed he's off major leagues. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh yeah. I mean, that remember he went back on his word because of it.
Yep. But like I said, there's really something, and I know some people don't like it, but the way Helsing has their eyes for insanity and shit like that, for the bloodlust
I
and
love it.
insanity, it really works for the style of anime they're trying to make, and it helps it stand out uniquely. Because the long limbs, the thin bodies, that's almost in a couple of mangas. And the style's different, but it's almost as other mangas have it. But it's the eyes that generally go well with the Helsing artists. Is what I think they really do a masterful job with.
They do. Like one thing I tell people when they're saying they're about to start the Helsing OVAs, and I'm like, pay attention to the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, the eyes is going to tell you what's going to happen.
I mean, look at
'Cause
this guy back
they,
here. He's just like, yeah, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
no, exactly. I mean, look at the front guy with this little partial smirk on his face, and you're looking at his eye. You're like, you know, some shit's about to go down.
Oh my god, look at this guy in the back. His eyes are dilating.
I know.
Like, you might want some
These dudes about to
cleansing
go in a
ride or
trance.
something.
They about to go in a trance from what they about to do.
This guy over here is about ready to shank somebody.
Exactly. You know, and this is, of course, this is after they spent like a few days with the main cast.
Yep. This is what a few days with the main cast has done to a party of peaceful elves that are ready to die slow deaths of being pretty much driven to extinction. Let that sink in.
Exactly.
Now, this is the one character I was talking about. She has a Omon. I can never remember her pronounce her name now.
Me either.
But she is a magician, and she pretty much is part of the Red Octobers to help support the Drifters in the war against the Ends. And the thing is that she has a few magic abilities she uses using, you can see in her hand, like Taoist symbols. I forget what they're called, like seals.
Yeah, I forget how seals. That's right. That's what they called them.
And one of them, if you put a seal in your back, it kind of breaks the language barrier, which is how they solved that issue. Using the world's magic to incorporate it into the world, but having a set definition of what magic is. And that's one of the things I think really works for any sort of show, is that you have to have an understanding of the world. The scaling can be busted as hell. I mean, look at Dragon Ball. We're basically blowing up planets with fingers at that point, but you understand how it works in principle.
The same thing with One Punch Man. You know, you have these insanely strong monsters that can destroy the planet, same as the main character Saitama, who can destroy the planet. But they still have it set up in a way that it's not destroyed, and here's why.
Mm-hmm. And so basically, the gag is hilarious because when they first do it, she's actually slaps it on the front of Yuichi's face, make her look like a Chinese vampire. So she actually does the hopping thing that the vampires do, and it's freaking hilarious that she's scaring the shit out of the elves.
Yes.
But essentially, slap on this talisman.
Comical version of Victoria Wingate Helsing. She's like a comical version of her.
But yeah, basically slap on one of these talismans and you can understand the language described from the talisman. You could speak to the elves, dwarves, or whoever, as long as you have the right talisman. Convenient, easy to use, but not but it's more broken than what the Octobers believe. The thing about the Octobers is all of their magic and all their spells they have so far, they have used for peaceful means. They have not had the mental capacity for war yet.
In fact, they don't like it.
Well, specifically, all mean doesn't like it.
She's the prime example of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's the prime example of, she hates war. She hates people dying. She's still going to do her job. But when the main character starts using her talismans for war purposes, it does affect her. Not like to her point she's like a broken individual, but she does speak her mind and she doesn't like that it's used for that.
The best example I can think
Eh,
about that is the communication orbs.
yes.
Now, let me say this first of all. In an early episode, I think it was like 2 or 3, she specifically says that the difference between her and the drifters isn't so much a physical difference or a world difference, it's a view on war and battle. It's a difference of principles. I forget the exact wording, but the ideology between the two, because they buried the bodies to make saltpeter fills to get what they need to make gunpowder. And he said he took care of the heads, he cleaned the heads, gave them proper burial. Do you believe the soul is a filthy pile of shit filled with maggots? And it really kind of shocks her because she's seeing the difference in ideology and war between her and the people they're bringing in to win this war for them. And I think it's just a great point of showing the huge difference between the two. With all the peaceful resolution she had, she doesn't like to kill. And here these people are, hey, let's wage war. Hey, we're going to do this. Hey, these are ideas. And one of the things is that they have these orbs to communicate long distances with other people. It's like, and nobody else like, dude, if I had these, I could communicate, organize my troops so much better, had attack groups go faster. Like, he's seen so many revolutionary ideas just from seeing this. And he's like, I want to do all my conquests over again because this would have made it so much easier.
Yeah, and he only got the baseline idea of what it does, and that was all he needed.
Mm-hmm. And the other one was that she can make like stone columns. And so it's like, hey, just make a cage of stone columns and we'll just toss in bombs and blow them up.
Yep.
And the other one is like, it's kind of hard to explain, but Toyo had to make one vertical and then horizontal to launch him at somebody like a springboard. And it was terrific. And it's like,
yes, it was.
As far as she's like, my magic wasn't meant for this. Well, then why is it able to do it, bitch?
It's like simple. That's that fast thinking. Like, you see something and you can see what it can do, and it's like, oh, well, what if I manipulate it to do this instead? And then what happens? Purely defensive magic has now been switched to offensive magic.
Because you quickly realize that everyone they bring from the drifters is both a battle maniac, but not to the point where they're not unthinking. They do have brains most of the time. So that should tell you something about the reason why they're being brought here. Now, these are the dwarves.
The dwarves.
Now, you can tell by the axe, yeah.
Mythical race we're brought into.
Yeah, I tried to make it into an order that we're introduced to them for at least as best I could. So, now these guys were also being used to make weapons and armor for the Ortega Empire. And their fighting styles are very similar to Toyohisa's, like I said. Listen, I'm going to swing this. Either I'm going to die or you're going to die. We'll find out real quick. And you can tell just by looking at them. They're stout, they're short, then they know what they're doing. But what I love about it is when Nobunaga shows them his musket and asks them if they could replicate it. It's like, yeah, the most we can make is 10. God damn, the dwarves are useless. What, 10 a day is not good enough? 10 a day? Holy shit, I love these guys.
Like, that's, yeah, I was like, well, that's completely different than what I was thinking.
And half the reason they even went for the dwarves was for their metalsmithing and to get gear from them. And it's like, hey, the dwarves are suppressed as well. Let's get them to join us. They look useful. And the laugh that Nobunaga had when he heard 10 a day was just glorious. Like, there was no hesitation. There was no there was shock, but there was no hesitation with the planning he was already going through. And again, look at the eyes. These people are not that well, but then again, after being subjugated the way they were, you kind of understand it. So the eyes work for the situation they're in. But unfortunately, once we really get going, the races don't get as much time to shine as I would like, but I can understand because there's so much going on. Like, there's a few people from each race that pop up a lot, but that's about it. They're pretty much just the grunts of the world, and we have accepted this. This crazy little nut job is the leader of the Red Octobrists. I believe he's a drifter, if I recall correctly.
I want to say he is.
Because okay, I'm not even going to. Haru Akira Abe no. I apologize to anybody if I insult them by saying their names wrong, but Jesus Christ, give me a break. But I know he's the leader of the Red Octobrists opposing the Ends and their leader. And so far, he's majorly just trying to get the drifters to safety and to regroup them all together. Because he knows what's at stake, and he knows the drifters are their best bet. So he has ordered his... I don't know how large of an organization he has, but they're all basically being sent out to help organize the drifters and get them to safety for the moment. But other than that, like, we really don't know that much about him as well. And a lot of what's going on is so frantic that you have to pay attention to the key details they give you. Because a lot of times when you go shifting around, you're shoved right into the middle of a war.
And not only that, he also has to adjust because there are things that are happening that's putting a block on his plan. So he's got to then reformulate some of his plans to get it back on track, to get them to still get them to safety.
Yeah.
Because even with this going on, the drifters are also kind of inadvertently thwarting his plans because they keep going on the attack of everything.
But at the same time, it's kind of helping his plans. He just doesn't realize it yet. Because when he hears Nobunaga's and the crew are going to go take over Otega Empire, he's like, those crazy shits, what the fuck are they doing? Wait, we are going to need an army. Okay, yeah, go home and take over. We'll just have to work with it.
Yeah, we got to work with this as it goes along. And it's funny because you're getting these different viewpoints and whatnot, and how characters kind of have to just go with it, even though it's still going against their overall plan.
And it really shows the variety of thinking and how different time periods will see things. Because some of the more peaceful people are like, this is absolutely totally nuts. Whereas the drifters are like, this is just typical Tuesday. You'll get used to it. I don't want to get used to it. Too bad. We're in war times, bitch.
It's time for war, and we're doing what needs to be done.
Butch Cassidy. Our quick draw, ladies and gentlemen, and also our getaway driver. This was actually kind of fun watching him and his partner kind of show up, have a different taste for actually having revolvers, basically, and showing a completely different side of how war can happen.
Yes.
Because he's pretty much a stagecoach robber, I think was the term.
Yes, he was a stagecoach robber.
So quick getaways, quick entrances, grab and go, get the hell out of the way is his specialty.
In and out.
Yep.
That's when we finally start meeting people that are not from the feudal era.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have now skipped way far ahead.
And he's not even the latest one, actually. We got someone coming up that's a lot farther along than even he is.
Yes. We get the one guy that's from World War II, I believe.
Yeah, I believe it is too, if I remember correctly. But
yeah,
but it's also not only that, not only a different time period, a different place altogether as well.
Yes,
because Nobunaga, Yoichi, and Toyohise, you could all say, "Oh, well, we're just pulling people in from Japan." No, Butch Cassidy and his partner, the Sundance Kid, they're all from the Wild West in America.
Yep, they're from the USA.
So time and place are not the only are different factors that come into play for who they're pulling in for drifters. And I love his coat.
Dude, I'm a sucker for like trench coats and whatnot.
His
So
hat and
like
coat,
I was
I love.
already like I like it.
I don't like the collared shirts; they drive my neck crazy. But the hat and the trench coat, very nice. And if you notice, he has a rifle, not a musket. They also have an early version of a minigun.
Yes, they do. That they use in battle.
Which Nobunaga almost drooled over when he saw it.
Oh man, it was just kind of want to go, Nobunaga, you might want to rub your chin there. It's kind of coming out. We see it coming out.
But the problem is,
that man got a war stiffy from that.
Nobunaga and his crew had just started getting gunpowder going. The actual alchemy chemical for a bullet to fire the gun, that's going to be a bit beyond them for now. Because while there's magic and stuff like that, the actual time period feels more like a more medieval time period for the actual world they're in. So I forget what it's called, but the ignition for the bullet that you put in a casing, that's light years beyond this. So
yeah, this is completely different than what they're used to.
Mm-hmm. So they have a conundrum. They have a great weapon. They have no way of replicating the ammo for it. So it's basically just a big mass of metal that doesn't do anything right now.
Yeah. Once they used it up, it was just kind of like, all right, now what?
But let's go on. Yep, World War II.
There he is.
Naoshi Kano. Yes. The man who was so out of his mind that when he was flying, he was saying, oh, there's flying dragons now. I guess I'll shoot these things.
Yep. Doesn't stop when he shoots. He's just going to shoot it. Which is also now another set of gunpowder. Because he's using a plane.
That's the other thing. A plane. That is leagues above anything else this world has seen besides flying dragons. But now we have introduced muskets, the concept of guns, and now we're going to introduce the concept of planes to this world. If they could get that going, which unfortunately because he crashes the plane, it pretty much loses it. So that's kind of a disaster right there. But the steps are in there to revolutionize this world in leaps and bounds beyond anything it knows. Because replicating technology is 10 times faster than trying to create it. But it's also interesting because in the manga, he's actually on a battleship. A what do you call a ship that's stuck on land? I forget the term for it.
Marooned?
Yeah, we'll go marooned. A maroon battleship that has probably God knows what in supplies, like heavy artillery. And there's so much potential for that battleship alone to help the drifters if they can figure out it's there and get to it. But unfortunately, the last we left off, Toyohisa's there recovering, and another character we'll talk about in a minute. But he pretty much lands into a world of anamorphic cats and dogs. So Ice, you'll fit right in. So he
doesn't matter the lands, war is war.
But yeah, so this world is pretty much a lot crazier than you think it is because it's got anthropomorphic cats, dogs, and
they threw everything in here.
Yeah, like if it's mythological, it'll fit right in. And again, no details in the eyes, but look how well it works for these things. Like it is just that good with the eyes.
Almost berserk-like.
Meanwhile, I'm looking left and right at the same time. But it just shows you, like, but the funny thing is, like, he subjugates them, by petting the cat like a cat to subjugate him, and then like using something to distract the dog. I forget what he exactly used, and he pretty much subjugates him,
He used something to just throw it out there,
and
and they just kind of went for it.
and they think he's a god now, so he's pretty much subjugated them by doing nothing. Now this guy,
oh, this old bastard!
You can just tell by that smile, like. He comes off as and I don't mean to offend anybody, but it almost comes off like he has Alzheimer's. Because he really doesn't seem to be fully aware where he is. But he has those moments of clarity where he gives such good advice. It's amazing. And this is the man.
It makes you wonder.
Yeah. So you're not 100% sure. And given time periods and stuff like that and the way this is, nobody would know what that is as far as I'm aware.
They wouldn't. Like,
so
that was something I want to say way later.
Yeah. Like, I'm not even sure if the World War II pilot would be 100% aware of what it is.
I don't think the World War II pilot would know what Alzheimer's is.
But regardless, that's a mute point.
Yeah.
This man is
just playing into the fact that it would be something nobody knows in this world, so they wouldn't be able to say, "Oh, this is what he seems to be having." It's still unknown.
Yeah, but he just seems to be not all there. Whether he's just crazy, he's driven to senility because of how old he is. It's hard to say. What we can say is the moments when his brilliance shines through, you can see why he terrorized the fuck out of Rome. This man understood war. Hannibal Barca, and I don't know the history as well as I should, but I do know that he was pretty much a damn good military leader as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I don't know much about him either.
But they have such a good look for him. Simple clothes, but he looks like imposing, especially in that middle shot right there. That he looks like the old man with the plan. And just that grin and that eye. Again, it's the eye that really tells the story here.
The eyes know.
Now, this is kind of his counterpart. He knows about Hannibal. And as much as he hates him, also respects the man for what he can do when he was in his prime. He is another specific strategist. Because what's better than one strategist? Multiple strategists and get the shit done.
Exactly.
And these three strategists, Nobunaga, Scipio Africanus, I don't even know because I'm not sure our pronunciation for anything Roman most of the time. And Hannibal are three great strategists, and each can see something that maybe the other missed. And if they can get together, that's going to be a formidable team. Especially when you consider the armies that the other three drifters are already building. We're onto something here, folks. Oh, by the way, yeah, they're actually arch rivals, and maybe. So, if that wasn't clear, they really show that.
Yes, they really don't like each other.
They respect each other. That doesn't mean they like each other. But I just want to clear this because I just love scenes like this where they just don't get along, but then they get forced to.
Yes.
But the thing is, when the soldiers Ortega soldiers were bad mouthing Hannibal, Scipio here was the first one to say, "Yeah, you guys would not stand at 5 minutes against this man in his prime. He would walk over you and not even consider you worth the dirt he was stepping on."
Exactly.
Because they know what each other is capable of because they're from near the same time period, I would have to guess. And then there's this guy.
Oh yeah, I tried to block that one.
Insane T. Jermaine, whatever the hell. Look, I don't have any. He's way too over the top. Like, he is just like the typical bourgeois Frenchman, hoity-toity, and it's insinuated that he's gay. And I don't have a problem with that. He's just too much for me. But he is also a great politician. He sees through a lot of plots. He understands the basics of negotiation. So he does have a spot as a drifter. He's just, like I said, too much for me. We're moving on. Oh, by the way, this guy managed to make it through here.
Yeah.
Now, it's unknown if he was an end or a drifter, but I'm just thinking it's still interesting that he made it here. Because that's saying something.
I would say he would be an end.
Because he's actually the creator of the Ortega Empire. And that's why the humans started trying to take over everything.
Yeah.
So, hate the man as much as you want, but he did play a crucial part in creating the world the way it is now. But he was here at the start of the Ortega Empire, which is like Em said, yeah, they've been coming through, drifters have been coming through here for a long time. And if there's any consolation, he pretty much went out the same way here as he did in World War II. So take that as you will. Now this is easy. That's all we primarily know about her, and that she's pretty much the leader of the Ends. She's pretty much the nemesis to Murasaki. They don't get along, but they almost act like to each other like they're operating in the same company of sorts.
Yes.
Which is another odd thing. Especially if you consider that she has like a name tag or a key card. And it's just a weird thing, especially when you consider how they dress and they're talking to each other. It's almost like they're co-workers in a project. And they're vying for which project gets the green light. And it's just weird on that aspect because there's just something. It brings down the holiness from the first scene with Murasaki and Toyohise to a more industrial psychology, and it's a really interesting shift when you go through it. But unfortunately, as I said, that's all I really know about them.
Yeah, they don't go in depth with these two characters. You're just kind of left wondering, like, what is their purpose here?
I mean, the only thing we fully know is that Murasaki is recruiting drifters to stop the Ends. Easy is using the Ends to kind of overthrow the human world. That's about it. That's as far as we know, and that as far as we could probably tell you, they might be supernatural. They might just have high-end technology. Shit if we know.
Or they're just both really bored and needed something to do.
Yeah, I can go with that. Now, this man, this isn't his actual name. We actually have no idea who this actually is. The leading popular theory is that it's Jesus Christ.
That's what I heard too when I was looking. That's what they're theorizing.
Now, there are some things that go against that, like he knows future events, he knows people he shouldn't, but I'm like, dude, it's Jesus fucking Christ. What do you expect? Like, if it's not Jesus Christ, then they have written this so well that it's either going to be so stupid that people are going to be like, there's no way in hell, or it's like, yeah, you wrote this so well, you fooled everybody. And that's the only two ways I can see if this ever gets revealed who the hell this is. But I'm willing to bet, even with some of the inconsistencies, it's Jesus.
It's gotta be. Who else would fit the bill that this person is right now?
Because he has the ability to heal people with a touch. You know, like, oh, I touch this blind man, he can see. Oh, I'm going to rub my finger on this guy's wound, it's going to completely heal. Now, you may think, oh, that's just...
that works.
Yeah. But actually, what his ability is, and all Ends have an ability of some sort or another, is that he manipulates cell growth. And one of the other ways he showed this was he took a bunch of wheat seeds and multiplied it like thousands of times over, increasing their food stocks, which for an army is goddamn useful.
Yeah.
If you can heal your army in days, would it take other armies weeks and supply them with enough food for however long? Yeah, you're gonna have a huge advantage over everybody. Now, Anastasia Noklevana Romanova.
I don't feel so bad now.
But this is one of the ends we are introduced to. We have no idea what her ability is, only that she is the first start to a sort of interesting thing that all the ends have together. And I'll discuss that more when we get to the next couple. But she does seem to be kind-hearted and tries to treat the injuries of her other ends when the leader of the ends isn't around. But we don't know too much about how she got here or what prompted her to become an end with them. But she's worth noting because she does make appearances. But what we do know about her actual character is, the terrible tragedy with a few other people. Gilles de Rais, I have no information about it whatsoever on my end. But we know he's a big hulking man that's almost like an impervious body to damage. Like, this man got pierced by arrows, stabbed, slashed, and he was still walking around. So he's basically the most mundane of the drifters I found so far. Or not drifters, the end so far. Like, he doesn't say much. He just lumbers around and uses a big spear to hit people. I mean,
He's
simple.
a man of few words.
It's simple, but it's effective.
Very effective.
Now, this one is very interesting to me. Toshizo Hishigata, who was crap, now I can't think of the name of that group that they were in. The what was it? The Shinsengumi. He was a member of the Shinsengumi and hates Toyohisa's clan with a vengeance for some reason. Like, as soon as he met Toyohisa, he knew he was from the Shimazu clan and wanted to obliterate him from the face of the planet.
Yes, he did. It made no qualms about it.
No. And he has a really peculiar ability. He can bring his Shinsengumi allies with him in the form of, like, ash ghosts, I want to say. And it's really fun to watch this fight go on and just have these phantom attackers try and kill Toyohisa. And then, like I said, the dwarves shoot out the shotguns to disperse the ashes so that they can't attack. It was just a phenomenal fight scene all around. I'm just loving this entire thing.
That's what I want it to continue. I want this series to continue.
Yeah, it just, like, the still pictures are great, but the animations are fantastic. There is almost nothing slowing this down.
It is a must-watch anime.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's only, like, what, 12 episodes long right now?
12, yeah.
So it's easy to get caught up on, and if you still want to keep going, the manga goes a lot farther. But he makes no qualms about he's willing to do everything that the end boss says, and has no qualms about doing the work and just get it done quickly and easily, and remove Toyohisa from the face of the planet. Those are his 3 current goals. But our next one, Jeanne d'Arc, who a lot of people might know that historical figure.
Yes, we do.
And you might start seeing a pattern developing here with all of the ends. In a way, they're historical figures known in a better light, but met ends from humanity in very devastating ways. Because Jeanne d'Arc pretended to be a man and led armies for, I think it was England?
No, right.
Was it France?
Jeanne d'Arc was France. Yeah, she was French.
God. I'm probably thinking it's, but my point is, like,
burned the stake for being a witch.
Yep. So at first she was helping humanity, then humanity stabbed her in the back. The same with Jesus. Jesus tried to lead them, got put up on a cross, and got killed for it. Um, if we look at Toshizo here, part of a military police group, some people thought went too far.
Yep.
So all the ends thus far, and she manipulates fire, of course, you know, what she was killed with.
Yep.
And, oh yeah, Rasputin's here, working alongside everybody.
Yeah, I forgot about Rasputin. Yeah.
So this one is one everybody should know. And he is just as despicable here as he was in a lot of shows. He's also a mage. So that shows some connection to the Red Octobrists. Was he a traitor? Was he just studied up on their magic? Did he kidnap and interrogate one? It just leaves a lot of questions there as well. Because you can see the seals placed around him for communication. He's not using the orbs like the Octobrists have, but he's still long distance communication. Is that his ability? We don't know.
Very questionable.
But he is one of the end strategists. But if the plan doesn't go exactly how he wants, it can shoot him in the foot very quickly. He's not as on the fly thinking as, say, Nobunaga. So when his plans start going awry, that's where where is he? Toshizo comes in. He's more on the fly thinker for the battlefield. So the two make a great team for his little empire. The ends have basically the ends' biggest strength is that each of them have a special ability. They have the numbers, and they have the leader of the ends that can multiply their food and heal their wounds. They don't need to be so outside the box thinking when they do anything. Basically, just go charge in here, and if any of you get hurt, we'll fix you up at the end of it. Now, this one is actually interesting because I don't think he's an end. I think he's a drifter that got caught up with the ends. Minamoto.
I don't remember this character.
He is Yoichi's brother. And he
okay.
And he only makes a brief introduction in the anime. And it's pretty much the leader of the ends questioning if he's a drifter or an end, pretty much. And that's it. He does make a small appearance to mess with Yoichi, but that's really it. He doesn't do much as of yet.
Yeah.
But he's just there to show that you can't be sure who's who just yet, because this guy shows up and he could be a drifter for all we know. But he could be a drifter working with the ends. He could be a drifter spy. It's not fully known yet. It may never be known, but it just adds a certain element of uncertainty to everything that's already going on in this anime, which I love.
Yeah.
Now this, like I mentioned, there are dragons, and this is a bronze dragon that the leader of the ends pretty much decimates in seconds. Because as I said, the leader of the ends has cell manipulation. What's made out of cells? Oh yeah, you're just gonna be a giant cancer so that my people can carve you up and have continuous meat from your sorry ass. And that was brutal, because they're carving this guy up for meat while he's still alive, withering in pain. And it just won't stop because he's regenerating the cells to make more meat. Like, that is some hardcore shit, buddy. You could have just killed him and done it. But no, because he thought he was better than you, you had to make a point and just pretty much put him in his place, saying, yeah, you think you're hot shit? Yeah, I'm just gonna turn you into the meat for my people. And like I said, we have centaurs, which look like centaurs, but also have that touch of insanity to them. Like, these are not your normal fantasy centaurs. Still there, Ice?
Yes, I'm still here. Sorry about that.
No, I just want to make sure
I thought I was.
No, I
thought I
want to make sure
was
we don't have
unmuted, but I
disconnection
was
is all.
muted. Ah, somehow I got muted. My bad.
No, that's fine. That's why I paused to check. But
But yes, the centaurs. Again, though, this land has been engulfed with war and corruption and whatnot. So it's you kind of expect everything to be kind of insane at this point.
yeah. But this is what really gets insane. The End's army has giants. Like, that's pretty much what
Yes.
normal people are compared to them.
Yeah.
And what makes it worse? They're crafting armor for the giants.
Hey, you
Like, I
gotta
saw
have a
this, I'm like,
well-oiled
hot
army.
shit, this is going to be awesome. Because what's worse than a 100-foot tall monster that can pretty much step on you? Hey, let's put armor on him. Oh, I hate you.
Now you put armor and then put weapons in its hands. Then
Mhm.
you're really in trouble.
And these are pretty much goblins. We don't see much of them. They're pretty much just like the foot soldier grunts, but there's a lot of them.
Oh yeah, I mean, goblins. I mean, they're kind of like it's funny how they are your basic enemy in any RPG type of game, but anime is slowly turning them into more of an actual menace than what even the games portray them as.
And this was before Goblin Slayer.
Yeah, this is way before Goblin Slayer.
And of course, we got
The
our
orcs.
orcs, pig people. Ganon would be disappointed in all of you.
Yes, he would. Poor Ganon, abused by his own people.
But along with the goblins, these are kind of like more of the standard grunts. They're not really that great at war, but for their freedom to rise up against suppression, they'll take matters into their own hands. So they're not going to be shy about it. But in a general, that's really all that stands in with Drifters because it, like I said, it's only had one season in the anime. The manga is kind of on a standing hiatus as far as I'm aware. And it's such a shame because it's really great, but it has the release date of Berserk at this point. It has short releases, then it has long periods, and then there's like one or two released, and it pauses. But it's so fun and shows such a really a controversy of thought between people, just not only from time periods, but worlds and times of peace and war. It's an amalgamatum of ideas and societies, really. I mean, I could go on forever about just talking about just the difference between the Drifters, the Octoberists, and the Ends and ideology and stuff like that. And they don't even show it that much. They're pretty much just going straight to war.
Yeah. Like we're still trying to figure out the entire politics that's involved here.
The only thing so far that we know is that they were going to take over the Ortega Empire and use the men from there to start trying to oppose the Ends. And that was just these three's plan when they were told, hey, we got to stop the Ends or they're going to kill us all. And look at these three people. Does this look like the three people you want trying to save your world? This is insanity incarnate.
I mean, if you're insane, sure.
Well, nobody said war was a same man game.
This is true.
But like the animation was top notch, and the only thing that really concerns me, if they go for another season, we're going to lose animation quality compared to the original. I mean, look what happened to Berserk. That didn't go well.
Very true.
Like, do not try to attempt to CGI this, or I will hunt you down. You already butchered Berserk to me. Do not take another one from me.
I mean, but the sad part with that is the direction that the animation departments are going for because all intents and purposes, it's a lot faster than hand drawn. And I understand it. Doesn't mean I like it, but certain things need to just be continued to be hand drawn. Like
Look,
just have that select group of people, you
Mhm.
pay them, they get paid the big bucks because when they produce a product, people are watching it. This isn't something where, oh, we got a couple of million views throughout its history of being on, being a movie, a video, a show on TV or whatever. Like, no, this people always come to watch this.
And I will say this about CGI, and I agree with Em on this one. If the entire thing's CGI, so everything looks like it fits in the world, okay, that's fine. But the problem with Berserk is it felt like everything was so light. Like Guts swinging a sword didn't feel like it had the massive weight behind it that it should. When he was smacking things around with that, it felt like it was like made out of like cardboard and shit like that. At least to me. Now, if you're using,
I think that's because you've watched the original.
yeah.
And so watching the original and then turn on and rewatching the very same thing put out in CGI, it just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Like I get that because there's a couple of shows I watch that do that. Like
No,
one of them is look at Overlord. You can tell when they use CGI and how bad it looks compared to the regular drawings.
yeah, but also to be
Like,
fair, there's some spots where the CGI actually looks amazing. So that one's kind of a mixed road on that one because eyes and staff.
Yes,
That's CGI.
yeah, I know, but it's one of the rare points. But like the monsters, the landscape, the people, it looks terrible. Like Baki falls into the same thing where a lot of it's drawn, but then you get these moments where the combat is just CGI'd and it looks atrocious. And
Yeah.
it's like, why didn't you guys just go ahead and continue the art style you took? Because this is very noticeable. It's not like where it's something where, oh, one texture's off, don't really care, or design is off, really don't care. This is like, no, it just looks terrible all the way around.
But there is a way
Like,
to
you
make
shouldn't have
CGI
done
like that work, actually. And this is what me and Em have talked about is like, if you're trying to make something look otherworldly or that it doesn't fit into this world, like say it's from another dimension to something to that effect, you can make the CGI work for it appearing in that world. Just don't make it seem like it's supposed to be a natural part of that world, and it can help you use that inconsistency to even exceed in the show.
Yeah.
Like, just for an example, let's just take Gundam. If the mech was from another universe, like outside the realm of a Gundam, it showing up and looking like CGI to everything else would make sense because it's an unknown. It doesn't fit in. And that would be the point. Because then it would emphasize how alien it is.
Yeah.
So if you're smart with stuff like that, it can work. The problem is you're trying to make two separate art styles fit into the same world and make them look natural. It's not going to work. It can work for small things, like I said, small things like eyes and staff and a few small things. It can work, but you're not making it the primary focus.
Yeah.
And like I said, I hope if this does continue, they try and stick to the original art style. I can understand if some of the art style changed a little bit from the time gap, different artists, but they try and keep to the same spirit. And God help you if you screw up those eyes, I'm going to hunt you down like there's no tomorrow. But I also, I say this a lot because I'll play devil's advocate for this. You have to be able to accept some changes based because of how long of a time gap there is. People move on. Unfortunately, some people pass on. Like I was telling this to Ice about the Berserk manga. Some of the newer stuff, you can tell it's a different artist and creator, but it still portrays to the same style and story that's being told so far. You have to be willing to accept changes along with wanting the base to stay the same. And I know that sounds contradictory, but it's really not, because at the end, Berserk would still be telling the same story. It's just the art style shifted. It didn't change outright. You could just, it's a notable difference, but it's not ruining anything. Which is where I hope they go with this, because, okay, sure, the graininess might go away, or whatever else you want to call it. Maybe a few minor details will change. But the overall impact, and everything else about the story that really creates it, I want to stay the same. I want that story for it.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you were asking me what I would score this is easily a 9 out of 10 for me. And the only reason it's not going higher is because I know so little. about everything else that's going on, like Murasaki and Easy, who the end actually is. Like, it's the stuff like that where there's so much missing and it stopped. That's what's really pulling it down. Like, the lowest I'll give this is 8 out of 10 because of how much information is missing.
I could go with that. I could go with an 8 out of 10.
And like I said, the other thing is that it stopped. We only have 12 episodes of the anime. The manga only goes so far right now, as far as I'm aware of. And it just feels so disappointing to that end. And it really feels like such a travesty for that. But
Like, I wonder what happened. Was it budget cuts? Was it just they couldn't keep up with it? Like, or did they move on to another project that just took over?
I forgot to look that up, but I think the most likely reason is that the manga artist was kind of like the Berserk artist, that he took long breaks in between chapters.
Yeah.
And it just kind of stalled, and let's face it, it wasn't making the money in between everything. They weren't going to continue it.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same as Hunter x Hunter
Berserk.
and even One Piece, Berserk. Like One Piece had its moment where it was just sitting there doing nothing. So I mean, these are things that has happened throughout long anime
Mm-hmm.
history. Like if you look back in like the 90s and 80s era, there was a lot of anime that just never even was completed. You'd get like a VHS of it. You'd have 2 episodes and that was it. But it had a next time or next episode, and it was like, but that never came.
You know, that actually gives me an idea for what I call this, the unfinished works.
Yeah.
Because as awesome as it was, and technically season 1 is complete, I will not argue that. The show as a whole was never finished, so we're still left out in the wild on a lot of things. But I do hope that if you get a chance, watch this series. It is well worth the time, especially if you're a Hellsing fan. But I think that's all I can really say about it without revealing everything about the season. Any final thoughts, Ice?
I'm just ashamed it wasn't finished. Other than that, it was a really great series or show. Can't call it a series because we only got one season. And this is it's one of my major gripes with Japan is they will start something that is fantastic or it's a great idea and it just needs to go a little bit longer, but they just yank the ripcord on it. They're just like, nope, we're done. Done.
Yeah, that is a major thing with some of them.
Yeah, that or the other thing, which the second reason I completely understand, so I'm not even upset about it, is if someone passes that was the lead creator or something, 9 times out of 10, they will just end the project. It is done. It will not see the light of day again. And that they do that out of respect for the creator.
Mm-hmm.
And I can respect that because I just look at Ruby and just look at how that became such a huge dumpster fire after that creator passed.
Yeah, that kind of Ruby was an interesting thing. There was good aspects and there's bad aspects about that.
Yeah,
But
like it was a fine show, but once he passed, it just they started trying to conform to the fans, which I get it. You're trying to do what the fans want to keep them engaged in the show, but it gets to a point where okay, listening to a lot of fans are starting to now ruin the product.
There was also other things behind the scenes with that, so I don't want to go too far into that because that's not what I want the show to be about. So,
that'd be another show for another time. Something they do on my show or something.
Because I will just leave it with Ruby that there was a lot with going on with Rooster Teeth at the time as well. People were leaving and other stuff like that, so there was a huge disaster going on there outside of just the show anyway. But
yeah, and they weren't treating their employees right, and that we could be here for hours on that alone.
But I would like to thank Ice for his time and going along with this show and a test run, as I said, the stream and record at the same time.
Thank you for
Um,
having me. Always a pleasure to be on.
if you are interested about checking out any of his work, he does have a YouTube and Twitch channel. If you would like to fill in what they are, because I can't think of their titles.
Oh, there's just Ice Yamamoto on Twitch and YouTube. Do various content from another person of topic, which I won't say on this show. I play video games, and I'm actually thinking about starting up a kind of like what you're doing here, but with various other animes, like some of my favorites. Like,
Oh, well then, if you ever have one that I
um,
like, let me know. We could probably co-stream it.
oh, definitely, man. We have to speak about it more behind the scenes.
Oh God.
But no, like I want to sit down and talk with someone or a couple of people even on Vampire Hunter D, one of my favorite
Oh,
animes of all time.
I kind of like the second one more than the first one.
Same here. Bloodlust was amazing. So good. So good. Oh my god. I guess oh man, I could lose myself in that show forever. And they're actually kicking off the manga again. So the series is still continuing.
Yay!
So, so like that's things I want to do. I want to try out. So I'll keep you updated on what's going on there. I'm starting
Oh,
to do more and more
definitely.
community posts, thankfully.
And don't worry, anybody. This will not be the only time we have Ice on the show. Like I said, this was one part experiment, one part I just wanted to get an episode of Drifters out there, and trying to branch out a little bit into different things because as individuals, me and Am aren't always into the same things, and having someone else can really spice up a view. So it just kind of helps the show at all in general, I feel. So
Can't go wrong there, man.
nope. So once again, I would like to thank everybody for joining us for this experiment podcast. This will be up on YouTube shortly. I just got to get a few other things set up. But thank you for joining us, and I hope you all have a good night or good day or whichever time period it is for you.
You guys enjoy the day.